Everybody, it is officially the end of Duffs Darts. As always, for 41 weeks in a row now, I am Ed. I took you on my journey to get from a 20 to a 10 handicap in 10 months to the best of my ability, on a budget, on a dime. How was I able to do it? So, if this is the first Duffs Darts video you have seen, this project started back in January of 2019, so this year. I made the decision that I was going to finally invest my time and as much resources as I could into getting better. Well, a lot of that, what that meant was being creative with how I practice. Now, I live in an apartment. I'm actually recording this in my bedroom right now instead of outside because it is, well, technically it's November in Chicago, but as you see right here, on October 31st, we got like 6 inches of snow. It sucked. So it couldn't have come at a better time considering the project was to get my handicap down by the end of October. October 31st it snowed. Wouldn't have been able to play anyway, so that was that. So with this project, what I've done is I have made it a point to put a club in my hand every single day for the last 10 months. So this started in January. All I was able to really do then was chipping and putting in the living room. Not a ton of distance, but I was able to, pick a spot on the carpet, put my putt out down and chip to that. Put an alignment rod down and chip to that. Put the putt out down, work on putting and making sure I had that repetitive stroke going every single day. That's pretty much all I was able to do for January, February, March, and April because winter just dragged on out here. I was able to get one simulator round. I think actually 2 times I hit a simulator up. There's really no indoor places here except for one place called the Mistwood Golf Dome, and that is an hour and a half from where I live. So that's an entire day to go and enjoy that. So practice during the late winter, spring was really limited. When we got to end of April, even though we had snow in April for the Masters, yes, I had snow in April for the Masters. Courses were saturated; they were completely flooded out. Everything was covered in just puddles. So getting out to play, was difficult. Your feet were going to be wet. Your ball was going to splash up on you. You couldn't really tell what the roll was going to be because the greens were they were inconsistent. So that carried me into the summer. By the time we got to the summer, I was able to play a little bit more. I was able to go out once a week for the most part from end of May through June and July and into August. I was able to get out pretty much once a week. But with me, I'm a dad. I have 2 kids. I live an hour from my office, so that's an hour to work, an hour from work to come home. So 2 hours a day traveling, 8 hours a day in the office. By the time I get home, help my kids with whatever they need, help my wife get dinner together, clean up dinner. The evening's shot, it's gone. So playing rounds during the week for me is just, it doesn't work for our schedule and for our family schedule right now. So the only time I really had to play was on the weekends. And even that, I've got, swim classes and gymnastics and, grocery shopping, laundry, family barbecues. There's always something going on the weekend. So playing a lot of 18-hole rounds for me isn't something I get to do a lot. So most of the rounds I played were 9-hole rounds. By the middle of the summer, when I was playing every single week and actually able to practice on my lunch breaks, which is what I did a lot of the time, was on my lunch breaks, go outside and chip golf balls, go outside and hit, wedge shots in the college across the way from my office for 30 minutes and then go back to work, eat my lunch and whatnot. By the middle of the summer when I was playing every week, that's when I really started to take a turn in my game. I started to lose far less golf balls off the tee. Beginning of the year and in this project, I would say that my biggest problem is off the tee, finding the fairway or at least keeping it in play. Going into this year, I could really muscle up and swing as hard as I could, and I can get a 275, sometimes 300-yard drive pretty consistently. But the problem was those also were consistently out of bounds. I was regularly hitting those shots so far out of bounds, and I was taking 3 from the tee. A little less of a swing, getting it in play, moving forward. So for 9 holes, you're looking at least 9 penalty shots around, 9 lost balls. It got expensive, and it just wasn't practical for my score. By the middle of the year, when I was playing every single week, once a week for 9 holes, that's when I started to, I shortened my backswing. I stopped swinging as hard and really focused more on just trying to play smart and hit the ball, well into the areas I wanted to. That's when I started finding more fairways. That's when I started to find more greens in regulation, and that's when I started to see myself hitting lower scores. I hit my best ever 9-hole score. It was a 2 over par. That round, I hit a lot of fairways, hit a lot of greens in regulation, and for me, uh, something that I'll talk about towards the end here for going into next year was proximity to the hole. I'm nowhere anywhere close to the hole on a lot of my approach shots, so for me, 2 putts on the green are kind of a given. But with all of the putting work that I did all year, every single day for the most part, working on my putt out, taking the putter out, and working on pace, working on control, for the most part, I was getting down in the hole with 2 putts or less. Fairly a lot of consistency. As you can see right here, this little graphic from my shots go. Putting, I'm really happy with where I'm at my putting. So with all that, I was plugging in my scores all year into 18 birdies. In the beginning of the project, I said that's how I was tracking it. Duffs was all about keeping things on a budget. I don't pay for the USGA handicapping system. I'm an average type golfer financially. So I was putting in 18 birdies. I noticed at the end of the season that my handicap wasn't adjusting in 18 birdies. It was staying right in that over the 20. It was like a 20.8 or 20.9, something like that. So it wasn't adjusting. I noticed that. I downloaded the Grint, and I plugged all my scores into there in the beginning of October. When I did that, I had 1, maybe 2 rounds left to play, and that's when I got the handicap down to a 13.2. So that's the lowest handicap I've ever had for me personally. My 9-hole handicap is down to a 4.8 N, so I'm still learning with that. That 9-hole handicap really shows me that when I play just 9 holes, especially at a track that I play most of the time, which was Boone Creek out here in the McHenry area, I got used to that course. I got comfortable with it. I played that course so many times that I knew, what side of the fairways to be on or to try to be on. I knew how the greens responded. I knew how, chipping was going to be. So I was so comfortable playing there, that's where I started to shoot my best 9-hole scores. So going into the last, round of the year, what I thought was going to be the last round of the year, I was playing at the Kishwaukee Country Club with Jason Highland, the founder of Sub 70 Golf that I've been playing all year. And I'm not going to get into all that, but I did get, refit with new clubs at the beginning of this year, and you can check that out earlier parts of this project. So him and I played at the Kishwaukee Country Club. I never played there before. Found out that the course, even though it's Parkland Country Club type course, plays more like you're in the Open Championship. You'd hit a shot in the fairway and it would roll 30 yards forward, and the greens, some greens they weren't shaped the best way where it would, you'd land in the middle of the green, it would roll straight to the back when it really should be slanted towards the fairway, towards the approach shots to hold the green. And the greens were the fastest I've putted on the entire year. They were easily rolling at like a 14. So I didn't have my best putting day there. Shot 20 over par. I really needed to stay in the 80s to get that handicap down to the 10s like I wanted it to be. So I was 10 over on the front, 10 over on the back. It's a par 70 there. Put together, shot 90. So I thought that was probably going to be the last round of the year I played. Looking at the calendar, going into the last weekend of October, my wife and I looked up. We didn't have anything going on, so I headed out to the Lincolnshire Marriott, where I had a pass for Crane's Landing, and same thing, I really needed to shoot in the 80s there. Front 9, I played well. I was 9 over par going into the 11th hole, and I was at a par 3, and wheels, they came off completely. I knew I needed to hit the green. There was water to the right. It's like, just don't do anything stupid. A nice, easy swing. Get it on the green. 2-putt for par. You'll be good to go. Get out of here. Put it in the water. Then I missed the green short. Then I chunked a shot out of the sand. Then I chunked a wedge shot. I ended up getting a quad. on a par 3. Go to another hole where I landed behind a tree, hit it out of bounds again. Took a high score in there, got a 10. And then another, frustrating hole. I ended up taking one of the balls and just throwing them into the river because I was so frustrated. More so, not so much for that stretch of those 3 bad holes, but because that 3-hole stretch completely killed any chances I had of getting a good score for that final round of the year, to where I was going to be able to get this down to the 10 to 12 range like I wanted to be for this project. So, took a deep breath, played the rest of the round best that I could. I ended up losing a few balls in the back 9. Didn't shoot the score that I wanted to shoot there as well. So with the round at Kishwaukee Country Club and the round at Cranes Landing, I ended up moving up from that 13.2. I sniffed that 10. I was close to it. Moved up from that 13.2. Finished this project with a 14.6 handicap for me via the Grint. Now, as frustrating as you may think that I am, or as disappointed as you think that I could be that I didn't hit the goal of being in the 10s in 10 months, I'm actually not. This year, because I dedicated myself so much to my game that I put a club in my hand every single day, I've had the most fun playing golf I've ever had. I've played more rounds this year than I've ever played. I did this project in about 23 rounds of golf, and most of those were 9-hole rounds. And a lot of people, they may play 2 or 3 times a week. I played once a week, if that. You're looking at 41 weeks of this project and only playing 23 rounds. You guys can do the math. That's not every single week. I was still able to get that handicap down from in the 20s down to a 14 in 10 months without a coach, without playing multiple rounds a week, and surprisingly, without going to the range a lot. A lot of my practice was spent, hitting golf balls in the back of my parking lot at my office, and then at the end of the project was hitting birdie balls off of a mat. They're not real golf balls. They're not going to fly completely like a real ball, but they at least gave me an idea of what my swing was doing, and that helped going into the end of the project. And in October, I played 3 rounds in the first weekend of October. I played TPC Deer Run, Tournament Club of Iowa, TCI, and then Otter Creek, where I shot my lowest score ever of an 86. For me, that's the lowest I've ever shot on 18 holes. I shot my lowest 9-hole round this year, I mentioned earlier, of a 37, of 2 over par. That happened because I worked hard on my game. That happened because I made it a point to practice as much as I could. I played kind of a bunch of new courses this year. So I played Magnolia in Disney World. I played a special course up here that I'm not even allowed to talk about. It's a private thing. I have to play that. I played TPC Deer Run, Shallot Hills, Tournament Club of Iowa, Otter Creek, Kishwaukee Country Club, Cranes Landing. So I think that's 8 courses that I've never played before that I played this year. So do I think that if I were playing one course this entire project that I would have hit that goal? I absolutely do. I 100% believe that if I played every single week, once a week, whether it's 9 or 18 holes, and I played the same course of the entire project, I definitely would have hit that 10 handicap goal, because it would have been the same type of greens, it would have been the same tee boxes, the same course. Being comfortable there would have made such a difference, where when I was playing these courses for the first time, I was relying on either local people playing or just, kind of looking at, 18 birdies and the scorecard for how the holes were to play. So I really challenged myself with that. I learned that I am a pretty good putter for a person who doesn't, have access to a golf course every single day, 7 days a week, 12 months of the year. I learned that I do have the ability to shoot low scores. I've had many, many opportunities this year where I would hit shots that I couldn't do a year ago. Not that they were difficult shots, but they were, 180, 190 yards out, where I was playing the right club thanks to my shot scope. I knew what I was going to hit, and I was getting either on the green or right near the green, giving myself a chance to score. I was hitting, putts that I had no business making. I made a 37-foot putt for birdie one day. I made a 39-footer at TPC Deer Run, which is now my favorite course I've ever played. and I got it on film. Recording my project all the way through forced me to kind of keep, scrapbook, so to speak, of this 2019 season. So, yeah, I didn't hit my goal, but going down, 6 full points on my index without hiring a coach, without going to an actual driving range every single day, with using birdie balls, foam golf balls in my parking lot to get better, I'm really impressed with myself. I'm really happy with that. What's going to change for Duffs to Darts going from 2019 to 2020 is that I'm not going to do this every single week project. That is a bear. That is a lot of work. It is something that, my family has to deal with every single week. I'm going on the patio or in the living room and I'm recording one of these videos and I'm having to go edit it. And, it takes time away from the family. Where, I'm still going to practice every night as much as I can, but I'm not going to record and do these check-ins every week. I think I'll do them like bi-weekly or every month. I'm still keep this project going, because with golf, we're always pursuing a lower handicap. We're always going to try to get better. So that's one change for Duffs to Darts going into next year. Another thing is I'm going to be doing a lot more range time and a lot more rounds of golf. I'm playing 23 times or so this year. I know that if I play more, that, I can get even lower. But time, range, how's that going to be different? I'm actually going to join, Duffs to Darts is going to invest in my local country club. And there, for me as a junior at this country club, it's not super expensive. For me, it's going to be actually pretty cost efficient, where if I play essentially 10 18-hole rounds for the year, it pays for itself. And it's right in town. With access to the club comes access to the full putting green, comes access to the hitting nets, comes access to the grass tee boxes and the driving range, comes access to the short game area. All these things that I didn't have for this project, I'll have access to next year. What else is changing is that I will be leaving the condo I'm in, and we were going to be buying another house in the spring. So that means that I will have a yard to actually go outside and do my swings instead of my living room where I could knock my kids in the face. I'm going to have an area to chip in the backyard with. Hopefully I'll have a garage where I can put up a net. I'd like to invest in a simulator. If that happens, you guys will find out, but hopefully I'll have that space. So things are changing with the project. Things are changing in my personal life with time of it. My kids are getting older. If I join that club, they can come with me and sit in the golf cart while I go play 9 holes of golf and practice. But all in all, I didn't hit my goal of hitting in the 10 handicap, being down to a 14.6 though, from over the 20s in 1 year, and under 25 rounds of golf. I have no complaints about that. Thank you guys for joining me on this journey. Hopefully my project has inspired you guys to work on your game. If this is the first time you're watching Duffs to Darts and you're in an area where you're wondering whether or not you can improve your game if you put in the time, you absolutely can. I documented all my struggles through this, so you can go back and check that out. For all you guys who've been watching from the beginning, thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. Until next season, guys, keep grinding.